There's a certain magic to being alone in the deep woods, isn't there? The silence, the solitude, the feeling of being the only person for miles. That is what I was after when I set out for my solo trip into the Blackwood National Forest. Just me, my pack, and the ancient trees. I'd been planning this for months, a real escape from the noise of the city. I found the perfect spot, a small clearing by a gurgling creek, and set up my tent. The first day was pure bliss. I hiked, I fished, I sat by my fire, just listening to the crackle of the wood and the chirping of crickets. It was everything I had hoped for. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, I felt a profound sense of peace. I was completely, utterly alone. Or so I thought. The first night was uneventful. I slept like a log, waking up to the gentle sound of birdsong. Day 2 was just as peaceful, but as darkness fell on the second night, a strange feeling began to creep in. A feeling of being watched. I tried to shake it off, telling myself it was just the isolation playing tricks on my mind. I was sitting by the fire, poking at the embers with a stick, when I heard it. A faint whisper carried on the wind. It sounded like my name. Alex! I froze, my heart starting to pound in my chest. I scanned the impenetrable wall of darkness surrounding my small circle of firelight. Nothing. Just the rustling of leaves and the hoot of a distant owl. It must have been the wind, I reasoned, my own mind, creating sounds out of nothing. I took a deep breath and tried to relax. But then it happened again. Alex. This time it was closer, clearer, and what made the blood run cold in my veins was that it sounded exactly like my own voice. Not just someone saying my name, but my own voice, as if I had spoken it myself. I jumped to my feet, grabbing the heavy flashlight from my pack. "Who's there?" I shouted, my voice trembling. This isn't funny. Silence. The woods seemed to hold their breath. The only sound was the frantic thumping of my heart against my ribs. I shone the flashlight beam into the trees, its powerful light cutting through the darkness, but revealing nothing but a dense tangle of branches and shadows. I stood there for what felt like an eternity, listening, waiting. Nothing. I slowly sat back down, my mind racing. Was I losing it? Was the solitude finally getting to me? I tried to convince myself it was a prank. Maybe another camper was hiding nearby, trying to scare me, but I was deep in the backcountry. I hadn't seen another soul for 2 days, and how could they mimic my voice so perfectly? I barely slept that night, jumping at every snap of a twig, every rustle in the underbrush. I kept my flashlight clutched in my hand, ready for anything. The voice didn't come back, but the feeling of being watched never left. It was like a physical weight pressing down on me. By morning, I was exhausted and on edge. My peaceful escape had turned into a waking nightmare. I decided to pack up and leave. I couldn't spend another night out here. As I was hastily stuffing my sleeping bag into its sack, I heard it again. "Don't go, Alex." My voice, but filled with a pleading, almost sorrowful tone. It was coming from right behind me. I spun around, my heart leaping into my throat. There was nothing there, just the empty clearing and the silent, watching trees. "I'm not alone," it whispered, my own voice echoing in the still morning air. "We're not alone." I didn't wait to hear more. I abandoned my gear, grabbing only my car keys and my phone. I sprinted through the woods, not daring to look back. Branches whipped at my face, roots tripped my feet, but I didn't stop. I could hear it behind me, calling my name, sometimes shouting, sometimes whispering. My own voice, haunting me, chasing me. It felt like I ran 4 miles. My lungs burned, my legs ached, but the fear propelled me forward. The voice seemed to be all around me now, coming from every direction. Where are you going, Alex? You can't leave me. It's so lonely here. It was a chorus of my own despair, a symphony of my deepest fears given voice. I finally burst out of the woods and onto the dirt road where I deparked my car. I fumbled with the keys, my hands shaking so badly I could barely fit the key into the lock. As I threw myself into the driver's seat and slammed the door, I heard it one last time. A soft, clear whisper, right next to my ear, as if it were in the car with me. I'm coming with you. I peeled out of there, sending gravel flying. I didn't slow down until I hit the main highway, the forest a distant memory in my rearview mirror. I drove for hours, not stopping until the sun was high in the sky and I was hundreds of miles away. I've never been back to the Blackwood National Forest. I sold all my camping gear. Sometimes, late at night, when the house is quiet, I think I can hear it. A faint whisper in the dark, in a voice that is mine, but not mine. They say there are things in the deep woods that we don't understand. Creatures that have been there since the dawn of time. I don't know what it was that I encountered, but I know it's still out there. And I know it remembers my voice. So if you ever find yourself alone in the woods and hear something familiar on the wind, just run. Thanks for listening to my story. Stay safe out there, and be sure to subscribe for more strange dailies. I thought camping alone would help clear my head. No people, no traffic, no noise, just trees, wind, and silence. That was the plan. I drove almost 4 hours to reach a remote forest park that barely anyone visited anymore. The ranger station was closed, the parking lot empty, except for my car. Even the trail map looked old and faded. Perfect. I grabbed my backpack, my tent, a small lantern, and started walking down the trail. Just before sunset, the deeper I went into the forest, the quieter everything became. The trees were tall and packed close together, blocking most of the light. Pine needles covered the ground so thick that even my footsteps were almost silent. After about 30 minutes, I found a small clearing beside a dry creek bed. It was the kind of place most hikers would walk past without noticing, which is exactly why I chose it. I set up my tent, started a small camp stove, and made some instant noodles while the sky slowly turned dark. At first, everything felt peaceful. Owls hooted somewhere in the distance. Wind moved through the branches overhead. Occasionally a twig snapped far away, probably a deer moving through the trees. Normal forest sounds. Around midnight, I was lying inside my tent scrolling through old photos on my phone. There was no signal out there, but I liked looking through memories when I camped alone. Eventually my eyes got heavy. I turned off the lantern and drifted off. I don't know how long I slept, but something woke me up. A sound, very faint. At first I thought it was just the wind again. Then I heard it clearly. A cough. Outside my tent, not loud. Just a quick cough. Exactly like the one I make sometimes when my throat gets dry. I sat up immediately. My heart started beating faster. "Hello," I said quietly. No response. Just wind moving through the trees. I waited. Nothing. I shook my head and laid back down. Maybe it was just an animal. Maybe my brain had imagined the sound. Then it happened again. Another cough. Outside. Same pitch, same tone, exactly like mine. This time I grabbed my flashlight. "Who's there?" I called out. Silence. I slowly unzipped the tent and shined the flashlight outside. The clearing looked empty. Just trees and darkness. No people, no animals, Nothing. I stepped outside for a moment and scanned the forest with the light. Still nothing. After a minute, I went back inside and zipped the tent shut. But now I wasn't tired anymore. I sat there listening. The forest had gone quiet. Too quiet. Then, suddenly, hello. The word came from the trees. My stomach dropped. Because it was my voice. Not similar. Not close. Exactly my voice. Same accent. Same tone. Like someone had recorded me and played it back from the woods. My mouth went dry. Very funny, I said, trying to sound calm. No answer. Then the voice spoke again. Who's there? It repeated exactly what I had said earlier. Same words, same rhythm. I felt cold all over. Something out there was repeating me. Learning my voice, then I heard movement, footsteps, slow, walking in a wide circle around the tent. Crunch, crunch, crunch. The steps were heavy. Too heavy for a small animal and too slow for someone trying to prank me. It felt deliberate, like whatever it was wanted me to hear it moving. Then it stopped. Right beside the tent, I could hear breathing. Slow, wet, right through the thin fabric. Then my voice whispered again. Very funny. But the sentence sounded wrong this time, like it was struggling to pronounce the words. I didn't move, didn't breathe. Then the tent wall suddenly pushed inward, like something was leaning against it. From outside, the shape pressed against the fabric was tall, way taller than a normal person. My heart started pounding so hard I thought it might hear it. The voice came again, right next to my ear through the tent wall. Hello. My voice. Perfect this time. Then another sentence. Come outside. I covered my mouth with my hand. The thing stayed there for a few seconds. Then slowly, it moved away. The footsteps circled the tent again. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Then the voice tried something new. It started copying random sounds. My cough. My breathing, even the way I cleared my throat earlier. Each attempt getting more accurate, more human, more like me. That was when the worst realization hit me. It wasn't just copying. It was practicing, learning how to sound exactly like me. Then suddenly, the footsteps stopped again, but this time they were farther away, near the trees. And I heard something else. Branches snapping, not like footsteps, like something climbing up into the trees. My blood ran cold, because that meant it wasn't leaving. It was staying nearby, watching. The next hour felt like an entire night. Every few minutes the voice would return, sometimes far away, sometimes right next to the tent. Always my voice, repeating things I had said earlier that day. I'll camp here. Looks like a good spot. Even random words I didn't remember saying. Then, around 3 a.m., everything went completely silent. No wind, no owls, nothing. The forest felt dead, and that silence was somehow worse than the voice, because it meant whatever was out there had stopped making noise. I stayed awake until sunrise. The moment the first light appeared through the trees, I packed everything as fast as I could. I didn't even fold the tent properly. I just stuffed it into my backpack and started walking back to the trailhead. The forest looked normal again in the daylight. Peaceful, quiet, like nothing had happened. But halfway down the trail, I noticed something strange. Fresh footprints in the dirt beside mine, large ones, longer than my shoe, and the stride between them was wrong, too far apart, like whatever made them had legs longer than a human's. The footprints followed my path for a while, then suddenly turned and disappeared into the forest. I never went camping alone again after that. But the worst part didn't happen in the woods. It happened later that night. When I got home, I was unpacking my gear when my phone buzzed. A voice memo had been recorded at 2:43 a.m. I don't remember recording anything. My hands started shaking as I played it. The audio started with the sound of the forest. Wind, leaves, footsteps. Then my voice spoke, clear as day. Hello, exactly like I had said earlier. But after that, another voice answered, also mine, but deeper, distorted, and getting closer, repeating the word over and over. Hello, hello, hello.